Good morning, Contessa. Good morning, Natalie. We're going to get started in about 7 minutes. So if you need to get something to eat, something to drink, if you don't want to put your video on, that's fine. Still looking for the words today. That I do record these sessions, so you can leave your camera off if you like. Also remember that you can add questions to the chat, or if you prefer to speak them, you can unmute your mic. Just make sure to raise your hand first. I'll answer all the questions as they come up. And if something happens later on today or whatever, my office hours are always between 11 and 12. And in the Google Classroom, you'll be able to see where the office hours are. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. Probably not just real quick, but so today, that's not today, Wednesday the 16th. Uh-oh, wrong day, wrong day. Sometimes bad things happen. Tuesday, that was yesterday. Let's try one more. Here we go. You know, I like to have fun. If you guys aren't laughing a lot at all the ridiculousness that's going on, you need to laugh more. That's all I got to say. So first of all, I added the YouTube video that's on Google Classroom to the slideshow also. And if you'll notice from Google Classroom, where is it? If you haven't been there yet, today, the video's here and the slideshow is here. So one thing I will say, I apologize on the front end. I got a little bit wordy. As you can tell, I like to talk a lot. This video is 16 minutes long, but it covers everything from taking the photos while you're working on it to uploading them immediately, cropping them and adjusting them and uploading them immediately to your Google Drive. So this is a long video, and there won't be long videos again, I hope. But this will be a good grounding video that I can reuse every semester or every quarter to show students how to draw something, construct it, take a photo of it, do the details, take a photo of it, darken in the details, take a photo of it, etc., etc. So this is a process that we're going to be using over and over again. So again, this is a little bit lengthy video, but don't worry about it, you'll get through it. And as I say on the video, or as I say down here, you can always pause and rewind it as you need to. You can rewatch it as you need to. It's not yet on my website, but I'll fix that today. So back to the slideshow. Okay, Google Drive hierarchy. Hierarchy is a big word for order.
Which allows the user to see only the files they're interested in seeing.
Okay, I got to laugh at that one because as I was talking and I mentioned what it says here, Google Drive hierarchy, my phone turned on and gave me the definition of hierarchy. So I just thought that was funny because it was right the best way to about hierarchy. Let me escape out of here for a moment. In your Google Drive, I've got a whole ton of things on my Google Drive. Here's what I want you to do. And this video is being recorded, so don't worry about if you don't understand some of the process, because I'll upload this video before noon today. So I'm going to go to my plus over here on the left-hand side, and select a new folder. I'm going to call this folder 8th grade art. Then I'm going to create another folder, and you'll see me do this a lot. I'm going to call this A student underscore art. Okay, so actually let's take off the art on that part. This one's just going to say, I'm not looking at my notes very carefully. I'm going to call it P hashtag. Replace the hashtag with what period you have. So P hashtag, there's an underscore here, which is holding the shift key down and tapping the minus. Anytime you see a student, this is your first initial and this is your last name. Please spell it out like that. And then I put another underscore. And then I'm going to put an 8, or actually let me put a hashtag. So the first hashtag is your period number. The second hashtag is what grade you're in. Then I'm going to create that. And where'd my other folder go? Okay, I don't know where my other folder went. Oh, here we go, 8th grade art. I'm going to change the name to this one, to just 8th grade. So inside your Google folder, or inside your Google Drive, there should be a folder for each grade that you've been using Google Drive for. I'm going to take this folder and drag it and put it up into this one. So I've just created a hierarchy. I'm inside my drive. Watch what happens to the top of the screen when I double click on 8th grade. This is called a path. So the path of this folder is inside this folder, which is inside my drive. I'm going to double click this folder right here. And remember, for those of you who are just coming in, this is the way I'd like you to name the folder for this class. And actually, I'm going to add one thing to it. I'm going to rename it. And in front of it, I'm going to put art and an underscore. The reason I put the underscores on things is because when the computer sees spaces in between, I don't know if you've ever seen this when you've downloaded something, but this space in between here will be filled with filler sometimes when you copy and paste things. So here's the most important lesson I want you to learn today. We've created a hierarchy. This last folder is going to say art, which is the class you're in, underscore P with the number. We're in first period, so you'll replace this hashtag with the number 1, underscore your first initial and your last name, and then this other hashtag or number symbol is for what grade you're in. Now, this little triangle over here, when you click on this, click on share. And then you're going to add my name, or excuse me, my email address, which is jwing2@sandy.net. Tap the tab key to accept that, and then leave it on editor. And here's why. Don't worry about the message. You don't have to do that. I will get a request to look into your folder. And if you leave me as editor, and you can leave other teachers as editors as well for this same procedure, but if you leave me as editor, I can then drop videos and suggestions and notes and so forth into your folder. So I'm going to click send. I'm sharing JWing outside, not in the, okay, so this message basically says I'm using a personal email address, and I'm trying to share it with an organization, which is sandy.net. I'm going to click share anyway. You shouldn't have this problem unless you're using a personal email address, at which point I would say you should not be using a personal email address. So I'm going to click share anyway, and then I'll get a notification in my email and also in my Google Drive that this has been shared. And you'll notice this little symbol just popped up here. If I click back over here on 8th grade, there's no symbol here. But if I double click this, this simply means that it's been shared. So here's the important thing. I don't need access to any other things that you have in the 8th grade or other classes, any other material that you want to put in there, etc. But this one is very important, and I'll explain why in just a moment. But basically, as I said, I can create little individualized videos for instruction and put them into your folder, or notes or slides or images or whatever, suggestions, but I have to have access to it. Now, what happens often, and I'll have to do a different video for this, but what happens often is, especially when you embed a Google slideshow into your Google site, if it's outside of a folder that's been shared, I won't be able to see it. And again, I'll do a video later today. It's already happened in this in one of my classes where someone has put a slideshow into their Google site, and since it wasn't in a folder that was shared, it probably was just left out here in my drive. If it wasn't put into a folder that was shared with me, then no one else can see it. So the other thing too is, I'm going to go back to the share, or let's put it down here. Click on Get Shareable Link. And when you see this, down at the bottom it says Restricted. Click on Restricted, and it's going to look a little different. Somewhere down in here it should say restricted to people with a sandy.net email address, or people with a student ID, or however it's said. Let me see if I can do that on here so you can see what I'm talking about. So let's see, go to my drive. Just going to double click on one of these. Oops, sorry. Okay, so let me cancel this. Let me double click on one of these. This was one of my previous schools that I worked at. So if you go to this arrow, select Get Shareable Link. Since I'm logged into my sandy.net email address, it should say San Diego Unified School District here. But do not select Editor in here. Only select Viewer. That way, when people go to your website, anything that's inside this folder, including your Google slideshows and so forth, that this folder has been shared with everyone on in San Diego Unified. Hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, please ask questions in the chat and I'll try to clarify that. So that was the Google Drive hierarchy. The file naming conventions we talked one thing about, but let me also share this with you because there's a slightly different way that I would like you to name your files. So for instance, Clark Middle School, you can see my hierarchy starting to develop up here. I have a folder called Art, the Process of, excuse me. And inside here, I've got a bunch of different, you can see all the illustrations, all the videos and so forth. I'm trying to organize as I go, but as you can see, I have not done that very successfully. This video's Daily Doodles. There's only one video in here so far. So I have to put all these other videos in that folder. What was I getting at? File naming conventions. Okay, so for instance, This was the character from yesterday. I'm going to right mouse click on it and select rename. And this particular thing, I'm going to name it, where's my notes? I know I wrote a note somewhere. Okay, so we're going to call it project underscore first initial last name underscore P1 or P hashtag. So in this case, I'm going to leave this alone for now, but in this case you would replace project with what it is. This is a daily doodle. This is your first initial and last name and period number. Since I did more than one of these, you might want to put the date on it. So I'm going to do underscore 200916A. So this is daily doodle underscore today's date underscore your first initial last name underscore and the period number. So I'm just going to call it 1 for now and click OK. So what will eventually happen is all of these other illustrations that are not named properly will be named hopefully by the end of today with the correct naming convention, and they'll also be in the correct folder. I'm holding the shift key down and selecting all of the videos in here. Rather than select, if I kept the shift key down, for instance, and clicked here, it's going to select everything, including this one. So I'm going to hold the control key down and click this one, and it should deselect it. So now I've just got all of these videos. If I hold the control key down again, I'm going to click here, and here, and here. Again, everything that's a video, I want it in my video folder. And it looks like I got a whole ton of videos. So all of these videos, I'm going to drag into my video folder. So I've got them selected. You can see there's 21 videos so far. I'm just holding the mouse down and dragging it up to the top. And you know what? I don't have a folder yet, so I'll put them in here for now. Can you tell I do a lot of thinking on my feet? None of this was planned. Oops. Okay, so that's a lot of information. Let me get back to my slide and see what else we got going here. So that I don't take up a whole lot of your time today, I'm going to take this stuff and put it on tomorrow. I'm going to cut that out and put it in here. Because I've given you too much information or a lot of information. So again, this video was recorded or has been recorded. I'm going to stop the video now.